Timex Watch has been making watches for a lot longer than that, and they're not better. So I just think that we need to rethink what they're saying and say, look, that's true. They've been making them 45 years. How long have you guys been making them? Well, we've been making pellets a long time, but we actually have consistency. Their pellets are hand pulled. So I challenge any of you guys to take a pellet, if you've ever seen them made, and put them into a die press and pull and then release, and the pellet comes out, and do that exactly the same every time. And tell me that the pressure that thing is, it's sort of like my cousin Vinny. She's like, took the wrench and tightened up the faucet. She's like, he said, how did you know how tight to tighten? How do you know? Because you're pulling the handle over and over and over. It's always going to be different, and that's why the pellets are different in terms of the pressure, in terms of the density of the pellets. So we use actually an automated system where we don't pull our pellets anymore, and they're all automated so that it's a hydraulic system that's the same every time. Okay, so those are points that you need to know in terms of selling. You don't need to trash the other company. The 2 Terras are fine people. Company's fine. Pellets are okay. They're not the best. Our training is better because it's integrated, because it's optimized. Our liaisons are better because they have none, and because we actually can take care of the whole office. And we have people locally to do that, of which they don't. That's, to me, the stronger selling point. And who's better at this and better at that, and who has 30 years of experience. It's true that 2 Terra has 30 years of experience, but when he looked at our dosing site, which he did, he thought our dosing site was better. Those are his words. So our dosing site's better because he said it's better, and because it is.
So Bruce just had a good question, and so did Jeff. And Bruce's question was, you know, if I get pelleted, you know, if I'm low on, say, my testosterone, I get pelleted, and then I get off of pellets, is my testosterone level shut off? You know, do I just quit making testosterone? And no, the testicle comes back and will make whatever it was already making before you got pelleted. When you're on pellets, the testicle can shrink because it sees that you have enough, so it doesn't work as hard, but it doesn't completely shut off. When you're on shots, it sees that as it doesn't need it at all, and it does shut off. So they will atrophy, turn into raisins, and won't come back. It takes quite a while for that to happen, but the other thing is when they do that, a lot of times they can use HCG to try to restart the testicle, and it tells the testicle to keep producing or start again. So sometimes they can reverse that, but with pellets, you're never going to make the testicle atrophy completely. And then Jeff was asking about sperm count, and it can definitely whack your sperm count because of the same thing. So if you have doctors, and we beat it in their head when they're at training that that's one of the side effects of pellet therapy, is it can whack their sperm count. So most guys that are low on T are probably past where they want to have kids anyway. So it's actually kind of a extra birth control. But if they're trying to have kids, you know, it takes 93 days for sperm to turn over. So you'd want to hold their pellets, let them go do their deal in a cup or whatever, and then you repellet them. So people are actually more likely to get pregnant when they're on pellets than off of pellets because they have sex more. So even if their sperm count is lower, so especially for women. Any other questions after Gary's gone, or anybody need to reiterate anything that Gary said?
Can you clarify the 24/7 support? That's the first I heard of that.
Well, yeah, they can text Gary 24/7. I mean, anytime they have a question, they can text him, and you know, he's really good about responding. And the way Soda Pelly does it is you actually have to fax a question into them, and then within 24 to 48 hours, they'll respond by fax to you. So, which isn't, you know, real good for HIPAA and all that, because anybody that sees that fax can see what the question is and all that. So, but.
From the day I cold called him and he wanted me to come back the next day, he called Soda because the guy around the corner is doing something. And he said, I didn't even get an answer. Rang. So. Or yeah. Either that or it was a voice.
Well, and what Soda Pelly's doing out there right now, and this is more sales than it is medical, but they are out there bashing us. They are saying we stole their technology, that we just had it because Micah and Giovanna Dubinsky are in Kansas City, and Gino's actually originally from Kansas City. So a lot of doctors know that Tutera's up there, and they're out there and they're trying to grow BioT, and they had a couple of doctors and like, well, we'll call Sotapelli too, and they called Sotapelli, and then they lost the deal. And they're like, why are we losing these? And I'm like, you know, the only thing I can think of is because if you look apples to apples, we would never lose. So I'm like, they got to be lying. So they called in like they were a prospective doctor and mystery shopped them. And I mean, we got a 27-minute recording that's at our attorneys right now of everything they said. Yeah, I mean, it's horrible. So, and what I told Giovanna and Micah is, you know, if that happens, because it's going to be more likely to happen to them because of their location than anybody else in this room. They can't come into Texas at all, so you two are safe. I mean, they can't even sign a doctor here if they wanted to. So, is you've got to use the negatives that they say against us against them, because they say, oh, well, they're all insurance or salespeople over there. Well, yeah, all of our liaisons are. All of our liaisons are marketing and sales experts, which is what you want when you have somebody come in to help you grow your practice. But they make it look like that's all we are, period. That they're going to get, their doctor's going to get trained by an insurance guy or a sales guy. So once you educate them on the truth of the matter, that it isn't that way. And when you look at that, you don't get a liaison at all with them, and you do with us, and our liaison is a marketing and sales expert. I mean, it's not a negative, it's a positive. So I told Giovanna and Micah, you need to, you know, re-look at, because they were just super upset, which I get it. But I also told them, you know, most people are intelligent enough when you talk to two different companies that compete. If one company, all they do is put down the other company, most people are intelligent enough to go, well, if that's the only thing you do to make yourself look better is put somebody else down, you know, then you're probably hiding something. So, and what I always tell people is the fact of the matter is they wanted to merge with us. They wanted to take over our business model. They wanted us to go nationwide for them with our business model, because we proved that the doctors are more successful, they have less problems. You go do a search for Sotapelli doctors and you'll find that there's some horror stories out there. There's Graycheck, and that's the other thing I told Giovanna and Micah is they use a Dr. Graycheck in Kansas City to help them do some training. And I'm like, tell a doctor in Kansas City that is looking at us versus Sotapelli, just go Google Graycheck. That's all you got to do. He's still on their website, and they even show on his website, on their website, that he helps train Sotapelli doctors. And you go Google him and look at all the horror stories of people he screwed up on pellets, and think about if that's where you want to go. So, I mean, when you look at us apples to apples and you really compare the true information, they're never going to be able to compete with us. They charge $695 a month for the dosing site. We don't charge anything. They charge $3,000 to be trained, and then $2,000 for each additional person that is to be trained. They will only certify DOs and MDs. They'll train an NP or a PA, but they will not certify them. But they'll gladly take $2,000 of your money. They don't cover your hotel, your food, your travel, anything. Which you don't cover the travel, but, and then their dosing site is not that accurate. It over-estrogenizes women all the time. They don't have progesterone, DIM, thyroid, all the stuff that Gary talked about in their dosing site. If you want marketing material, they'll sell it to you, but like the trifold brochures that are in your book, they charge $150 for 100 of those. So it's $1.50 a brochure. And then it's like $50 for a poster. And you know, you want the little acrylic stands and all that. I mean, they just nickel and dime you for every little thing you want. And if you sit there and you add up everything we provide a doctor compared to what they do, and you look at the percentages, like Gary said, you know, our percentage might be a little higher, but they're also going to sell a lot more. They're going to do a lot more procedures with our help versus without our help. Because we saw it in 3 years we were partnered with them, because Gino was still out there training people on his own the same way they're doing it now. And most of those doctors a year later aren't still doctors doing pellet therapy because they didn't do anything. And the ones they did, they screwed up a lot of time and they didn't have any support. So that's the whole reason they were trying to acquire us and have us do the whole thing for them. So, and now what they've done is they've changed their business model to reflect ours as closely as possible, but they don't know how to do what we do. So it was funny when we were first getting divorced, they hired an attorney that had the audacity to call Dan and go, well, you need to tell me exactly how your whole business model works. How you recruit liaisons, how you do this, how you do this, how you do, and he's like, are you kidding me? Really? So, I mean, it's pretty stupid, but they're putting down everything that they wanted to do, is essentially what the deal is. But we really don't run into it that much. I mean, you know, doctors call them because they find them on the internet, and that's about it. So, you know, they don't really have people out actively recruiting doctors. They just started going to A4M and stuff like that. So,
Are there doctors under a non-compete agreement?
I don't know. I don't know what their agreement is because they've changed their business model, so I don't know. But, you know, all that stuff, like Gary said, you don't need to put them down. All you do is say, here's what you get with them, here's what you get with us. You make an intelligent decision. But if you call them and they, you know, start telling you all kinds of bad things about us, at least give me the courtesy to respond to, you know, because like I said, I always, what I told Javon and Micah is tell the doctor straight up. I know you're an intelligent individual and that, you know, if you call them and all they do is tell you bad stuff about us and you don't independently verify it, you know, obviously you'll independently verify it because you're a smart guy. So, you know, and you put the onus onto them that they're a smart person, so obviously they wouldn't be taken by that. So, and I tell my doctors, you can go to our website, pull up our providers, close your eyes, point at the list, call that provider, and ask them about us. Okay? They're not going to get bad information. So we help our doctors. You can't do that with Sotapelli. We have doctors, every convention we go to, Sotapelli doctors are coming up to us wanting to switch to us.